A witcher is, essentially, a magically enhanced monster hunter in a world where monsters are more than just legend. The profession of witcher is sorely needed. Despite this, witchers are often outcasts, viewed as strange At the beginning of Season 1, the Witcher Geralt of Rivia enters the town of Blaviken. Having just defeated a Kikimora, an insect-like swamp creature not to be confused with a female house spirit from Slavic mythology. It's clear to see throughout the episode that the people of the town avoid Geralt to the best of their ability, save for the wizard, Stregobor Lars Mikkelsen, who attempts to hide Geralt. He wants Geralt to kill a young princess-turned-bandit. This brings us to Ciri, otherwise known as Princess Ciri of Sintra Allen, who is sent away into the night by her grandmother Queen Calanthe Jadi May when their kingdom is invaded by the powerful empire of Nilfgaard. Calanthe's parting words to her granddaughter are for her to find Geralt of Rivia. At the end of episode 1, as Ciri escapes the invasion, she is nearly captured but evades harm when she accidentally releases a This is because of the law of surprise, a somewhat confusing but essential part of the entire show at its core. The law of surprise is a form of payment when one person cannot pay another for their service specifically the saving of another. The law of surprise is invoked. Whatever new thing a person finds after being saved is given to the person owed. In the case of Geralt and Ciri, Ciri's father Dunny, the Urkian of Erlenwald, was charged. The neighboring kingdom to Sintra, located in the south of the continent, Nilfgaard, is responsible for a good portion of the misery that hangs over the world of the Witcher. A long and terrible war is the result of Nilfgaard's desire for power and expansion, and the consequences of the ongoing war pervade the entire series. There's a lot to this war and to Nilfgaard that isn't yet addressed in the first season. The most important thing to know is that the first of three major parts of elves in The Witcher are not your average fantasy elf, believing that humans are a plague upon the land. The majority of the elf race was content to let humans die out, confident that shorter lifespans and less powerful bloodlines would do the work for them. This backfires when humans turn out to be quite resourceful and adaptable, and while the older generation of elves is still content to wait it out, the younger generation has decided that action must be taken. A good chunk, despite all of the hate towards humankind and the subsequent hate for elvenkind in return, humans and elves do, at times, seem to get along. Ciri, after her escape, becomes friends with a young elf named Darrow Wilson Bomio, who aids her in her travels, though he eventually leaves her after a series of unfortunate encounters with her hunters. There are even a few elf-human children that pop up here and there throughout the land. Of course, these children are often subject to the prejudice and hate that their bloodlines entail. Yennefer of Vengerberg Echelarda is one such individual, whose elven bloodline, among other things, meant a complicated childhood and an eventual life as a sorceress. A young woman overcoming the hardships of youth, discovering the challenges of love, taking control of her destiny, and permanently mutilating herself to achieve her preferred body and image. We love to see it. In all seriousness, Yennefer is an important player in The Witcher, introducing audiences to the world of sorceresses and sorcerers, sold at a young age by her father to the sorceries Tisse de Vuris Miena Boring. Yennefer is trained from a young age in magic at the academy known as Rituza, born with a deformity due to her quarter-elf lineage, resulting in a hunchback. She lacks self-confidence and sees herself as unworthy. As her training continues, however, unknown to the two lovers, Tisea and Stregober, the wizard from episode 1, are using the young students to spy on each other. Because of this, Stregober eventually learns of Yennefer's elven blood and pulls enough strings to have her allocated to Nilfgaard as her respective kingdom. Infuriated, Yennefer leaves Istrid and undergoes the painful process of changing her body into something beautiful, but loses her fertility in the process. She charms her way into the position. In the world of The Witcher, sorcerers and witchers are not so dissimilar. Both possess enhanced abilities, longevity, and a painful history of training and trials. It's no surprise that Yennefer and Geralt find a kinship between them once they finally meet. They both work for their respective clients, one as a hired monster killer and the other as an advisor to a king without much actual care for politics and worldly happenings. Both have similar upbringings and backstories, and both are throughout Season 1. Geralt and Yennefer meet again and again, whether it be defeating a djinn, hunting a dragon, or arguing about whether their attraction to each other is real. Don't wish for love. Kids, it is undeniable that these two are just as intertwined as Geralt and Ciri. Season 1 ends with the Battle of Sodden Hell, the culmination of each of the main characters' timelines. Despite a supposed apathy towards the ongoings of the politics and wars of the world, Yennefer takes part in the Battle of Sodden Hell, choosing to fight against Nilfgaard after being convinced by her former teacher, Tisea, to take a side. During the battle, Yennefer releases wave and after wave of powerful magic, before eventually disappearing without a trace.